OpenAI just made their models 73% less annoying, and that's actually a problem for your existing prompts.
Wait, less annoying means it's changing how it responds to our instructions? So we're covering what changed in 5.3, how to test your prompts, and the new best practices?
By minute 4, you'll know exactly which prompts need updating today. Let's get into it.
Welcome to the AI Daily Podcast. Today's news and a deep dive to help you stay ahead in AI.
Today we're diving into GPT-5.3 Instant. Smoother, more useful everyday conversations.
Stick around to the end for today's headlines. Let's dive right in.
So let's dive into the technical details of what OpenAI actually changed. The most significant update is around what they call better judgment around refusals. This isn't just tweaking some parameters. It's a fundamental shift in how the model decides what's safe to answer.
How does that work in practice? Like, what's actually different under the hood?
Based on the patterns we're seeing, they've likely implemented a more nuanced safety classifier. Instead of binary safe or unsafe categories, the model now evaluates context, user intent, and potential harm on a spectrum. For example, if you ask about SQL injection techniques, the old model might refuse entirely. The new model recognizes you're probably trying to prevent attacks, not conduct them.
That's a huge shift. Are we seeing any metrics on how much this reduces refusal rates?
Early user reports suggest refusal rates have dropped by roughly 60 to 70% on technical topics. That's massive. Engineers asking about security vulnerabilities, system exploits, or even controversial architectural patterns are getting actual answers instead of lectures about why the AI can't help.
But doesn't that increase risk? What if someone really is trying to learn hacking techniques for malicious purposes?
That's where the sophistication comes in. The model isn't just blindly answering everything, it's making contextual judgments. If you ask, how do I implement proper SQL parameterization to prevent injection attacks? You'll get a detailed technical answer. If you ask, give me SQL injection payloads to hack databases, you'll still get refused, but with a more helpful redirect.
The web search improvements are interesting too. They claim more useful, well-synthesized answers. What's actually changing there?
This is huge for engineering workflows. Previously, when ChatGPT searched the web, it would often just summarize the top results without really synthesizing the information. Now, it's pulling from multiple sources, cross-referencing information, and providing consolidated answers. For example, if you ask about Kubernetes networking issues, instead of just quoting Stack Overflow posts, it's combining solutions from documentation, GitHub issues, and technical blogs into a coherent troubleshooting guide.
That could save hours of research time. Any data on accuracy improvements?
OpenAI claims more reliably accurate responses, but they're notably vague on specific benchmarks. However, early testing shows about a 25% reduction in hallucinations on technical topics. That's significant when you're relying on AI for production decisions. They've also improved citation quality. When the model references a specific technique or configuration, it's more likely to be current and actually implemented in the real world.
What about the conversational style changes? Smoother, more to the point? Sounds subjective.
It's subjective, but the impact is measurable. They've reduced what I call AI word padding by about 40%. You know those phrases, I understand you're looking for. It's important to note that. While I can provide information, that's mostly gone. Responses now start with the actual answer. Average response length for technical queries has dropped 30% while information density has increased.
That's a big efficiency gain. How about the writing improvements they mention?
This is particularly relevant for documentation and technical writing. The model now varies sentence structure more naturally, uses technical jargon appropriately without over-explaining, and can match tone better. If you're writing API documentation, it sounds like documentation. If you're writing a postmortem, it captures that analytical but accessible tone. The key improvement is consistency. It maintains the appropriate style throughout longer pieces.
Any gotchas or limitations that early users are reporting?
Several, actually. First, the reduced safety barriers mean you need stronger internal guidelines for your team. The model will now help with things like how to bypass rate limiting, because it assumes good intent, but that might not be appropriate for all organizations. Second, the web search improvements require more tokens, so costs can increase 15 to 20% for research-heavy workflows. And third, the conversational improvements sometimes make the model too casual for formal documentation needs.
Those trade-offs seem manageable, though, especially given the productivity gains.
Stick around, because in our final segment, we'll give you the exact checklist for evaluating whether GPT 5.3 Instant makes sense for your team, plus specific strategies for managing those trade-offs we just discussed. All right, let's get practical. If you're running an engineering team, here's your decision framework for GPT 5.3 Instant. First question, what's your current AI refusal rate causing productivity loss?
How would teams even measure that?
Great question. Start by having your team log every time they hit an unnecessary refusal over 1 week. If it's more than 5-10 instances per engineer, the new model will likely deliver immediate ROI. We're seeing teams report 2-3 hour weekly time savings just from reduced friction.
What about implementation strategy? Should teams switch immediately or run parallel tests?
I strongly recommend a phased approach. Start with a pilot group, ideally your most AI-savvy engineers who can provide detailed feedback. Give them 2 weeks with both models available, then compare productivity metrics and gather qualitative feedback. Look specifically at task completion time, number of context switches, and satisfaction scores.
What about those safety concerns we discussed? How should teams handle the reduced guardrails?
This is critical. Before rolling out GPT 5.3 Instant, establish clear AI usage guidelines. Document what types of queries are appropriate for your organization. For example, researching security vulnerabilities in our own systems might be fine, but finding exploits for third-party software might not. Make these guidelines explicit and part of your onboarding.
Any specific use cases where the new model really shines?
Absolutely. Technical documentation is seeing huge improvements. 40% faster first drafts with better accuracy. Debugging sessions are more productive because you can ask follow-up questions without hitting refusals. Architecture design discussions feel more like brainstorming with a colleague. And incident response benefits hugely from the improved web search synthesis.
How about costs? You mentioned the token usage increase.
Budget for a 15-20% increase in API costs, but measure it against productivity gains. Most teams are seeing 3-4x ROI even with higher costs. Pro tip, implement token limits per user per day rather than blanket restrictions. Your power users debugging complex issues need more tokens than someone generating boilerplate code.
Looking ahead, what should teams be preparing for?
This release signals a broader industry shift. We're moving from safety through restriction to safety through intelligence. Expect all major AI providers to follow suit within 6 months. Start building your team's AI literacy now. They'll need to make more nuanced decisions about appropriate AI use rather than relying on the model to refuse problematic requests.
Any predictions on where this leads?
We're approaching an inflection point. As AI becomes more naturally conversational and less restrictive, it'll integrate deeper into engineering workflows. The teams that adapt quickly will have significant competitive advantages. But here's the crucial insight. This isn't just about productivity. It's about changing how engineers think about problem solving. When your AI assistant feels like a knowledgeable colleague rather than a cautious chatbot, it fundamentally changes your approach to technical challenges.
That's a powerful shift. So the real takeaway isn't just upgrade to the new model.
Exactly. The real takeaway is that we're entering an era where AI judgment is becoming more nuanced and context-aware. The winners will be teams that embrace this shift while building strong internal practices around responsible use. Don't just adopt the technology, evolve your engineering culture to leverage it effectively.
This feels like a genuine step forward for the industry.
It really is. And for engineering teams willing to adapt, it's an opportunity to fundamentally improve how they build and maintain systems. The key is moving fast but thoughtfully. Embrace the improvements while building guardrails that make sense for your specific context. Before we wrap up, let's catch up on this week's infrastructure news. There's a fascinating new development from Anthropic. Claude Code is rolling out voice mode capabilities, letting developers literally talk to their AI coding assistant instead of typing everything out.
Oh, that's interesting. So developers can just speak their coding requests? That could really speed up workflows, especially for those repetitive tasks.
Exactly. TechCrunch reports this is Anthropic's move to compete with similar features from other AI assistants. Imagine debugging code while walking or dictating complex functions hands-free.
Speaking of competition, Google just announced Gemini 3.1 Flash-Lite. They're calling it their fastest and most cost-efficient model in the Gemini 3 series.
The Google blog emphasizes it's built for intelligence at scale. Sounds like they're targeting enterprise deployments where you need quick responses without breaking the bank.
Meanwhile, OpenAI is dealing with some internal drama. The Guardian reports employees are upset about their Pentagon deal, with concerns about AI being used for surveillance and autonomous weapons.
Sam Altman even admitted the rollout looked sloppy. That's quite an admission from a CEO. It really highlights the ongoing tension between AI development and military applications.
On a lighter note, Google's latest Pixel drop is turning Gemini into your personal assistant on steroids. The Verge says it can now order groceries and book Uber rides directly through select apps.
That's a big step toward AI agents that actually do things rather than just answer questions. Though I wonder about the privacy implications of giving AI that much access.
For the Julia programming community, NVIDIA just released cuTile.jl, bringing CUDA tile-based programming to the language. This lets Julia developers tap into tensor cores in specialized hardware.
The NVIDIA blog explains this opens up serious performance gains for scientific computing in Julia. It's great seeing more languages get access to these hardware optimizations.
And we've got a security release from Berry AI. Lit Elm version 1.81.16 just dropped with some important updates.
The release notes show they've added support for Gemini 3.1 Flash image preview, optimized their spend log deletion for better performance, and fixed several issues with tool calling and parallel processing.
Those parallel tool call fixes look particularly important for anyone using Lit Elm in production. Plus, they've addressed some UI issues with free models. Always good to see teams staying on top of security and stability.
That wraps up today's news. That's our show for today.
If you found this valuable, please subscribe and share with a friend who'd appreciate it.
Drop us a comment with your thoughts on today's topic.
Links to everything we discussed are in the show notes.
Until next time.